Truth resides in every human heart, and one has to search for it there, and be guided by truth as one sees it. But no one has a right to coerce others to act according to his own view of the truth. And that was said by Edmund Burke. Welcome to Surviving the Matrix, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Maxwell Igan. It's a pleasure to be with you again, and I will be your host for the next hour. Now, the world is facing a very serious situation, folks, and there are a lot of researchers who are investigating world events and who are presenting their version of reality to the rest of the world in an attempt to wake people up. But there are so many different ideas and different opinions about what's going on that it becomes very difficult for people to actually discern where the truth really lies. So I was thinking it would be a good thing to start comparing notes with a lot of other researchers, in the hope that doing this there may be common threads that make themselves apparent and will lead to a greater understanding for all people in regards to the issues that we face. And I believe that by doing this it will also possibly help us find more proactive solutions to these problems in order that they may be addressed. So with that in mind, I have a guest on the show today, and I thought I'd jump in at the deep end and present you with some of the more arcane and esoteric research into the New World Order and current global events, and see what can be gleaned from this side of things. This is quite a long interview. It was recorded 2 days ago, and it is quite long. So I will be presenting it to you in two parts. You will be hearing part 1 this week and part 2 next week. And in the following week I do intend to have another researcher on so we can delve into that side of things as well. Again, in the hope of finding common threads and also just to hear everybody's opinion. I really would like to give all researchers an open floor to simply present their case to the world and see what we come up with at the end of this exercise. So my guest today is Freeman from the Freeman Perspective. He has a website, freemantv.com. So without further ado, I will now present you with a conversation between myself and Freeman from Freeman TV. So tell me where your research has been going lately, Freeman. It's actually, I've been wanting to catch up with you and chat about all this stuff for quite a while. We did have a little bit of a chat the other day, but tell me whereabouts your research is going, what sort of things you've been sort of focusing on lately and where it's all leading you to.
Well, there's two definite paths that I'm following. One deals deeply in the occult, trying to understand what the philosophy of magic is, what the purpose of magic is, studying the works of the Ordo Templi Orientis and Aleister Crowley and Kenneth Grant, and that level of things to understand symbolic gestures and the meaning of things and the purpose of things. And then on the other hand, lately my deep research has been into this KV-55 mystery, because, as you know, I have my Akhenaten theories going along with Obama, and I don't know if we mentioned this last time, but they just announced the results of King Tut's DNA.
Yeah, you actually did touch on that, but yeah, please go on and tell me again.
Well, it's such a mystery, you see, because from the moment that this tomb, 55, had been opened, 1907, it was unknown who the occupant was, because someone had hastily gone in and destroyed most of the cartouches and names. They destroyed the magic bricks and amulets, and it didn't seem to be a robbery but a desecration because certain things were left. So this mummy was left there, and cracks in the ceiling allowed water to pour in, and then in 1907 a amateur archaeologist decided to get into here and hunt this. Now, he brought with him a painter, a wife, an artist, and an archaeologist, and they basically kept no records, no discovery, nothing, as they destroyed the entranceway, not even knowing what they were stumbling over. Could have been the greatest find, should have been the greatest find in archaeological Egyptology history, because if we had actually found Akhenaten's tomb, this was a very big deal. And this, of course, was prior to Howard Carter finding King Tutankhamun. So they did discover this mystery tomb that had a large sarcophagus inside, and it was ornately painted, and set up, but no gold cover shield for the face. So inside there were all kinds of objects, such as toilets to Amenhotep III and Queen T. There was a shrine left there to Queen T. And so they actually brought in a doctor to see who this person was, because could it be Akhenaten? The magical bricks were inscribed to Akhenaten, but all of the other cartouches had been desecrated, removed, scraped off. And then could it be Queen T, his mother? And, because we have the shrine and all of these other things. Well, there was a holy war right then and there, starting with the two people that found it over whether it was T or Akhenaten. And then they had two doctors come in, both immediately claiming that the mummy was a woman, so Queen T won out at the time. And next thing, the bones are sent off to Cairo, and the doctor studying them said these are obviously male and somewhere around 23 to 25 years old. So all of a sudden this whole thing had turned and tossed and turned again. Now here we are, 100 years later, still trying to sort out whether KV-55 is Akhenaten or not. Even just last September, Zahi Hawass came out on live television with the elder lady and the younger lady, who they believed to be Queen T and Akhenaten's wife Nefertiti, so his mom and his wife, and also that of Akhenaten. So he did all the studies, CT scans, all of this, and all of the results showed that the mummy was obviously not old enough to be Akhenaten. Well, now they come out and they have the new DNA results for King Tut, and they say we're going to do the results against Akhenaten, and they show the DNA of KV-55. When Zahi Hawass, and upon investigating the mummy himself, said he wasn't sure that was Akhenaten. Well, I went over to Wikipedia. Now, this is just a little bit of a conspiracy, but I went over to Wikipedia to see what they were saying about KV-55, and they already have it plainly stated that it was the tomb of Akhenaten, as if this was completely accepted by all science. So I wonder about Wikipedia, and I wonder about this story, because as I've been covering the Obama being a clone of Akhenaten story, the whole thing is hinged on the fact that they don't have Akhenaten's DNA. They don't have the mummy. No one knows who or where it is. But of course, secretly inside, I always believed they did. I knew they did. The coincidences between this family are too much. The whole Obama family and then all of Akhenaten's family, down to his two daughters that became co-regents, are, identical to Akhenaten and his daughters and his mother with Michelle and Obama. And then their names, they were given names by the Secret Service that were Renegade, Renaissance, Radiance, and Rosebud. And these all fit perfectly with being Akhenaten, the renegade pharaoh, Renaissance of his rebirth. Then Radiance and Rosebud, that goes to the stela that you'll see of Akhenaten with his two daughters, and you'll see the hands of Aten, or the solar god, the rays or radiance coming down, and they're offering up the flowers, or the rosebud. And so even right down to the Secret Service names to the first family can we find just numerous connections. So the latest has been this all of a sudden announcement that they have Akhenaten's DNA, as if this had not been in any question whatsoever. You go watch the National Geographic's results on King Tut, and they just state it like it's just normal, common fact. And I'm waiting to see the ripple through Egyptology on this. I wonder what will happen with all of this.
Yeah, it's just kind of come out of nowhere, isn't it, that they had Akhenaten's DNA when they said that they didn't for so long. And, of course, the fact that they've got Akhenaten's DNA, that puts a lot more credence on your theory of the Obama clone, because they'd have the DNA to do it.
Exactly. And I'm just so, I'm enthralled by all of this. I'm sorry, I'm excited, but you can even see in the first reports that they gave when they announced they were going to give King Tut's DNA, they were going to test it. In the very first news reports, they were saying they were going to test it next to Amenhotep III. And that would be Akhenaten's grandfather. If you've ever seen, this is the man who brought in the whole idea of worshiping the pharaoh. And so the very first colossal architectural statues of the pharaoh are Amenhotep III. So that's Akhenaten's father, Amenhotep III. He instituted the idea, you'll see the Colossi of Memnon, having the pharaoh as the god, standing over. So this is a very important family. It's not one to be skipped. But what you'll see in the original news story is that they said that they were going to test Tut next to Amenhotep III. And not Akhenaten, because, well, no one had stated they had Akhenaten's DNA until the reports came out. But yeah, very curious.
Yeah,
And what are the odds that he's then Obama, being Akhenaten, is fighting Apophis, the incoming asteroid?
are you talking about the whole Planet X issue, or is that something else?
No, what I had been doing was following Obama and the coming of the weaponization of space, the militarization of NASA. So one of the very first things Obama's campaign planks were, I will not weaponize space. You can go watch his early speeches, and I will not weaponize space. And then, of course, there was a whole debate about what was weaponizing space. Is putting up a satellite weapons? Can you take out a satellite with satellites?
Exactly. It depends on the sort of weapons you're talking about. It just seems that they've been weaponizing space right since the very beginning, since they started going into space.
Exactly.
So I don't know what they're trying to say with that.